Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dave Shady. I'm Director of the Division of Ag, and we're coming to you live from our office here. Today, we're going to be talking about unsolicited seeds from China. We've also heard Kazakhstan and the other stands, etc. So, just kind of wanted to give people a little update, what little bit we know, kind of where it's going on, and then Rob and I are going to be able to hopefully answer some questions and let people know. So this actually came on the radar about a week and a half ago, mostly in the lower 48s, Washington State, Oregon, into the Montanas. I've pretty much heard every state now has had some kind of a scenario with seeds that come purportedly in a package from China, Solomon Islands, or something like that. One of the challenges is we don't know. So I'm aware of two scenarios. One scenario, people went online, went to Amazon or eBay and ordered seeds, thinking they were coming from the United States. They show up, they're not from the United States. That's a concern when you order something on the internet thinking it's coming from a legitimate source, and it's not. So that's one scenario that we've been dealing with. The other scenario is people get unsolicited packages in the mail from China, which of course in the day of COVID and that, makes everybody go, huh? What do I got here? So what did we have? What we know is that the USDA and Border and Customs Protection, very concerned because we have some entities, we do not know what those entities are avoiding USDA and customs rules and regulations. So violation of federal law and in a number of instances, also violation of state law, selling seed in the state. What the USDA's initial reaction to this is that it's a blushing scheme. Something, frankly, a week ago I didn't even know what it was, and that's where if somebody wants to get their ratings up on the internet, they send out packets, go on, do their little, hey, how did it go kind of scenario on feedback, and so they get more hits and ratings. So that's what they think. USDA, I saw on an internet email chain this morning, mustard seed, flower seeds, and things like that. So what we have is a nationwide kind of an issue, one that we definitely don't want to have unintended consequences here. So we've been on the news, we've been talking to a lot of folks around the state. Rob has, I have, staff has. So, a couple of things is, we want people to know is if you don't know what it is, we don't want it planted. We don't want, you to unintentionally add things, bad things, good things, whatever, to your environment. So I'm going to let Rob talk a little bit more about the technical stuff because I'm an economist, not an agronomist. But I mean, we all know if you didn't order it, you don't know what it is, don't grow it. There could be pathogens in that packet. We don't know what that is. So what we're going to have people do is collect those, hold those, send them in to us. So with that, Rob, why don't you just give us a little rundown on some of the things the questions you've been asked. Why, is this really a concern to us on invasive species issues and things like that? I'm going to fire up and see so I can read comments and questions, and we'll go from there.
Well, hi everybody. I'm Rob Carter, state agronomist and manager of the Alaska Plant Material Center. We do house the state seed certified seed laboratory, so we deal with a lot of CD issues. This is one of them. So far, here's a package actually that was received by us this morning. I know it's hard for you to see probably on this. It is, in my assumption, all written in Chinese. It is a packet that looks like seed. There are very few seeds in there. Those are rose seeds to me. That package is actually an aromatherapy package you'd put in your closet or your car or your glove box. There are seeds in it, but it was, again, inadvertently received by an Alaskan that did not order it. So we will be collecting these, we will be identifying these, we will be then sending them out back to our USDA and Border Protection partners in the lower 48 for more identification and eventual destruction. I would tell you that yes, one of the questions I've gotten a lot of questions the last 2 days from general public in Alaska, some that have received seeds, some that have not, just have general questions. Number one question is is this new? No, it's not new. The CBP or the Customs Border Patrol in 2019 intercepted 15,000 identified agricultural seeds or seed packets coming into the U.S. They intercepted, and I think 5,000 of those at that time were from China. Some of them are an attempt to dodge state and federal importation requirements or national importation requirements, and some of them are inadvertently people don't know. They are offering for sale a seed that may or may not grow in a region. They don't know the legal ramifications of doing such, and they are intercepted. This one, in the sense, they are not labeled as seeds, so a lot of times they get missed. It happens. So it's not new. It is, as the director said, at this point identified as a scam, a way to generate a bunch of false positive reviews on people's eBay or Etsy or Amazon or AliExpress accounts, so that they're, of course, the algorithm makes them at the higher and top of the list to make their seeds available. I would say that the biggest thing that people ask is, are they bad for you? No, they're generally, from what we've seen, they are general garden seeds. Some we'd consider weeds, some we would consider just general flowers. Don't plant them. I wouldn't open the package. I think that if we can retain that integrity, we can get more information from it. This one was open and ripped, so it's a little more difficult for us to identify any markings on the package. If you do get these in the mail, if you did order seed or not order seed, reach out to the division. You can find us through Facebook. You can find us on our website. You can find us on our website at the Plant Material Centers. Reach out, contact us. We will give you direction on how to get the seed you obtained to us so that we can collect it, we can maintain that chain of custody and get it back to our USDA partners. One reason that I think from an agricultural standpoint and an environmental standpoint of not to plant these seeds is that, yes, we believe that a lot of pathogens don't come from true seed like this. They come more from clonal material, but there still is that chance. Second to that, most of these seeds are non-native to Alaska, so they could have ramifications to becoming invasive, and the best way to stop invasives or non-native, noxious, restricted plants from being in Alaska is not to bring them in Alaska. So please do not plant the seeds if you get them. Make sure that you contact us. We'll give you direction on how to get them to us. The individual drop them off here at the main office in Palmer. But if you can't drop them off, we can give you shipping instructions or instructions on how we can have one of our inspectors pick them up from you. The key to this is not planting them and not growing them, because they're unidentified species at this point. They could carry a pathogen that could impact our agricultural industry here in Alaska, and if not that, they could impact our environment. We strive very hard to keep native seeds and non-native seeds, native seeds in Alaska and non-native seeds out of Alaska, and some of those species do have the ability to become established and be vectored throughout the state and impact our agricultural industries, our development industries, and then our native habitat, which then also doesn't impact our flora, it can impact our fauna. And so I think that the number one route now is that if you've identified these, please reach out and contact us. You will not get in trouble. It is not your fault that you got something in the mail that you may or may not have ordered. We are just trying to err on the side of caution and make sure that we follow the guidance that's been provided by the USDA and that we retain these seeds, we identify these seeds, and then these seeds can get destroyed to make sure that we do not impact our agricultural industry or our native ecosystems. I really think that's the key to this. A lot of other questions are from individuals that haven't received seeds. What are we going to do if we do that? Reach out to the division. We will give you instructions from there. A lot of questions of people asking what they are. From first glance, this is in the rose family. Again, it smells wonderful, but it's probably even not viable at this point looking at the seed quality. So we will continue to identify these. We'll follow up. I think it'd actually be quite fun for everyone to, if we can get reports from other states of what the species were, of what types they were. But I think at this point, majority of them, there are common weeds. Some restricted or noxious or invasive in some states. And then, of course, a majority of them being non-native to the regions they're being shipped to. Some of them won't even grow in the areas that they came to. But again, I think the key to this, to protect our our environment, to protect our agricultural industries, it's the utmost important that you know that you won't be in trouble and no one is going to come after you or write you a fine or a ticket for obtaining seeds that aren't legally obtained. So make sure you reach out to us, make sure you let us know, and then we'll follow up with the individuals that that have distributed these. Hopefully we can do another Facebook Live in a couple of weeks as this starts to settle out. We've identified some of these seeds so everybody can learn what they are.
Yeah, and I know that one of the questions is like, well, it's just a few seeds. I've had people that, and I'm like, so I go back to Elodia, we've got a multi-million-dollar eradication campaign going on in Alexander and Sucker Lakes over a little simple plant that was in somebody's aquarium. What seems so innocuous and so benign can have millions of dollars of impact. Is that impacting agriculture? Frankly, no. But it's impacting our salmon fishery. It's impacting our natural environment out there. That is, and that's where, when I try to explain is agriculture is just not agriculture in the fields you see. It is the natural resources around us, our forests, our grasslands. It is everything we do in this state is so important that we protect. Rob and his whole team have spent years developing our native grasses and a reclamation program. So what we do is we use local product. We use plant materials that are actually from the area, going back to the area. So we're not messing with our ecosystems. We're lucky. Alaska is lucky. We can look on the experience around the world, lower 48, and go, hey, that was a bad idea. We're 50 years, we're 60 years, 70 years behind in development. Let's do this right. And I think the Northern Latitude Plant Materials Center, the whole name, there's a reason it says Northern Latitude, because what we do is for here. And we get pretty excited. Rob knows I can really get on a soapbox and tout what that team does out there, because it is worth hundreds of millions of dollars to this state. It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars in seed industry that we're going to develop over the years because we're clean here. And so what does a little teeny weeny packet of seed mean? Maybe nothing. It could mean hundreds of millions of dollars in eradication efforts if it gets loose. And I mean, literally, people are like, Dave, you're paranoid. Yeah, I am. I will admit to being paranoid about this issue, but that doesn't mean somebody's not after us. And we don't know, is it Kazakhstan? I mean, I have to literally have them print out, what does it say on the package? And I'm like, oh, that's a stand. Okay, it's China. Well, I have no idea how to read Chinese. We just know that there are enough things that have happened bad around the world, sometimes not intentional. I mean, and that's the thing is we're not at all upset with the people. In fact, I am really proud of all the people who have called in and said, hey, what's up? That is us protecting each other. That is true Alaskan spirit, where we watch out for each other. We make things work for each other. What we want to do is we want to make sure your food supply is clean and safe. This is just another step. So, I mean, yes, I know some people have said, hey, Dave, I want to try. I want to just see what it is. Let us see what it is. We're going to work with Border Protection. We're going to work with USDA. We have the ability to make sure we keep this safe. Heck, I'd be, it's such a small amount of seeds. I'll trade you out seeds if I have to. I really want to know what it is. But the other question that was raised yesterday, Rob, is how are they going to destroy these, and why do we do what we do to make sure that we've kept this safe? So why don't you just talk about how we're going to help the USDA get it down there and what they'll do to destroy and make sure these are safe and non-viable in the future?
I think in general, the easiest way for someone to understand the process of destroying seeds, we don't generally take this type of seed to the landfill. When it's a non-native species that's found in the state of Alaska, there are methods that you can that we can do, double bagging, triple bagging, and move to the landfill. But in a case like this, we won't be doing this destruction of these seeds unless we're directed by the USDA. We have that ability, but it's really done through heat. Think of it as a giant pressure cooker. We call it an autoclave. In a lab, we bring them up to temperature, we provide steam, we bring that to the point that those seeds are rendered inviable. I think that in the sense that people have asked, like, well, how do I kill them? Do I throw them away? Do I burn them? For us, no. That our job here is, as directed by the USDA, is to obtain these seeds, get these seeds back to the USDA APHIS botanists so they can securely identify what the seeds are. They can look at any pathological issues that may be arised from the seed and through their investigation. And then at that point, they're going to put these seeds inside of a bag and they're going to stick them in a very high-tech pressure cooker. And then at that point, that seed is rendered inviable. It's just a bunch of inert material, and that material will get thrown in the compost bin. Again, the key to this is no one's in trouble. We're making sure that we can identify them, and we just don't want people to plant them. As Dave said, there are a lot of impacts that 1 or 2 plants can be done, and let alone most gardeners and agriculturists in Alaska work very hard to keep their production areas, small or large, weed-free, and inadvertently planting seeds that you don't know the species, you don't know their growth or the development or the seed distribution can impact you significantly, let alone getting outside of that, getting into our native environments and impacting that both the flora that we all love so much, but then impacting the habitat. Where you used Elodie as an example, yes. Does it impact a farm field? No, it does not. Does it impact our salmonoid habitat? Yes, it has that potential. Does it impact our waterways and the abilities for beavers to move throughout a lake? Yes. Is it a safety issue for air traffic? Yes. So there's a lot of plant material, invasives specifically, that can really impact a lot of things outside of just agriculture, which is where our authority comes in. But again, the key to this is keeping Alaska, keeping our native habitat that so many of us rely on both for enjoyment and for subsistence activities, and then of course keeping and protecting our agricultural industries clean. And this is just one easy step that you can do. If you get seeds in the mail, pick up the phone. We're all pretty friendly people. We'll follow up with you when we know more, so then you'll identify and know what they are. Again, seeds are pretty amazing. They're neat to look at, but please don't open them. Please just reach out to us, let us know. We'll give you direction on how to get them to us, and then we'll follow up on this, and probably on Facebook we could do some posts as we learn more. I'm not the one that does that, so I'm giving work to other people at this point. Sorry. But I think that is my biggest interest, is to see what they are, identify where they came from, and I'm sure Border Protection and the USDA will allow us to know where they came from, so we have a good idea. And we can all learn from this that not only is it your people are receiving seeds that they may or may not have ordered, this is a good refresher for everyone that enjoys growing plant material, that's bringing it in as a clonal material, as a raw plant, bare root or not, or as seeds. Sometimes if you don't know something, that's one thing that we're here for. We have a certified seed lab in this state. We have a bunch of experts here that work for the Division of Ag that can help you identify, plants. I know there's some awesome groups out there on social media, that there's some brilliant people that can also support you. If you're unfamiliar with something, you're looking at growing that thing in your garden or in your agricultural plot or in your flower bed, and it's pretty, it looks neat, but you're unsure, you've never grown it, you haven't seen it, we're more than willing to help you work through identifying what it is and its potential invasiveness, especially if it's a non-native, because really the key to controlling invasives and non-native species in any environment is to stop it before it starts. It's the most cost-effective and effective method. We do have other steps that we take in rapid response if we do identify something, but the key to this, to keeping Alaska, to keeping our plants clean, to keeping our environment healthy, is to not bring the problem to us. So if there are questions, and it's a good reminder, if there's something you don't know about a plant or its ability to reproduce, or even the source of the seed that you're getting it from, there are both federal and state laws that require seeds to be identified, for them to have a germination test, a purity test, and a noxious weed test, to know that you're getting the seed that you want to get, that it's from a reputable source. All of that material should be on the packet, and it should be labeled accordingly, both to Federal Seed Act and to our state seed law. And if you get something or you order something and you're unsecure about it, beyond this instant of weird seeds showing up when you order some jewelry, reach out to us. And again, we know a lot and we don't know everything, but we know a lot of people that do, and we've been working together to make sure that we continually protect Alaska and protect your garden and our agricultural community and our natural environment.
Right. So as I was talking to some folks yesterday, Rob, I said, this is actually our third incident of pathogen tracing worries that we've had. So, briefly, maybe you can explain a couple of things that we've done some work with the USDA on the Rostonia and the tomato blight, just so that people understand that actually is something else we do, is we we are part of the national USDA system in protecting the food sources and some of those things that can get out there.
So again, I think it's something that, a lot of people don't know that we do. We have a lot of partnerships with other agricultural organizations and government agencies. And so in the case of Rastonia, that in itself, and really any plant pathogen that comes on either seed or clonal material, like starts that you see at a greenhouse, or plantlets that you buy at a greenhouse or a store, or a lot of those times that within the Clean Plant Health Network around the United States, the USDA has a process in place so that when plants are brought into our country or into an individual state, people have import permits, they have nursery permits, so that they can identify when a problem arises. In this case, Rastonia, it can impact multiple agricultural products and plant materials, but it was coming in on things such as geraniums, I believe.
It was.
And so they were coming into the United States. Those were being sent out by distributors. The USDA reached out to all the states and said, hey, please keep an eye. There's a trace forward process there for us to identify, for us to get information on lot numbers, where plants were shipped, and then of course how to obtain information about them, how to collect that plant material, and then how to destroy that plant material safely. So that was already, these are unknown, but in that case it was an identified pathogen that the USDA reached out to all states and said, hey, keep an eye out for this. These are the places it came from. These are the nurseries on the trace forward that they went to within your state. And then, of course, we investigate from there. So we're not new to this at all.
Right.
It's just something that we do in our partnerships with the USDA. We will continue to do. I think it's very, very important that we take that responsibility and that we do trace forward those. I think that's actually a pretty new word for everyone these days with contact tracing. But we've been doing it for a long time. We'll continue to do it. And it's just one step in protecting not only our nursery industries, but our agricultural crops, because a lot of people say, well, I don't produce these commercially. I don't have commercial production in my area. It's not just the plant that you're growing that the pathogen can affect. So
right.
There are things that tomatoes and potatoes, very unique in the sense that things that attack a tomato can very well attack a potato, and we all know that we have a relatively large potato industry in the state of Alaska. And so it may not be on the species, it may not be the same plant that you're growing, right. But the pathogen can vector from one to another. We call that a host, and that can be a problem. So again, if you don't know what it is or you have questions about what it is, make sure you reach out to the people that can help you. There's a lot of information on the internet, but we're real people, and you can call us and we'll help you, and we'll help you identify issues, we'll help you identify your questions and provide you answers. And again, we have partnerships with the USDA, with Customs and Border Protection, so we can help you work through a process to help you do that. So if you ever have questions, make sure that you reach out to the division. If you get seeds in the mail and you're unsure what they are, reach out to the division and we'll help you work through that. And again, it's not that you're going to get in trouble for doing such. It's better to be proactive than reactive. And I think this is a good example and a good refresher for all of us to say, is this right for me? Is it right for my community? Or is it right for Alaska?
Right. I mean, you literally have the scientific staff, the plant pathologists, the seed folks. We're really lucky to have world-class people working here that meet an international criteria. So we can do this. I mean, we can do preliminary tests, then get it sent off to USDA. We work with them. It's kind of cool, the relationship we've had. We have really built in the last few years a much stronger relationship with the ag inspectors at Border, because we have a lot of foreign ships coming in, and there was a lot of vectors that we've had to start dealing with that most people aren't aware of. So, I mean, this is just a very visual incident, but we're doing this every day. The feds have inspectors. We meet the U.S. government meets every foreign ship. We look for it. We have Asian gypsy moth. We find that on ships. Found one on a mass on a ship last week, and they got that taken care of. But I mean, between all the different agencies, and I mean, you can name the alphabet soup of agencies. We all work together, and that's something that I really, really want to impress, that if Fish and Game has a problem, we help them. If it's Fish and Wildlife, it doesn't matter. We are all going to work about this because it impacts everybody here. So had a little comment here, do we have translators? Rob and I just, before this started, talking about getting translators so we'll know, if that's truly Chinese and what it's saying. So, yeah, we really just wanted to take some time. We've got a lot of phone calls, really busy time of the year. So we thought maybe if we just get out to everybody and go, hey, we get it, contact us, get it into us, we'll help you get it here. One way or the other, we're working with the federal agencies. That's our interface. We will do that. And like Rob said, in a few weeks, as we know more, we'll be happy as part of one of our Facebook Lives. Or if ends up being that big of a story, maybe we'll do a whole one. But we'll get back to folks and let them know, because one of the things that we're trying to do is to help educate folks about the different things we're trying to keep out of. We have Alaska, I say Alaska grown, Alaska clean. Yes, it's a slogan, but it's one I believe in as the director, and it's one the division believes in, is we have a really clean environment in Alaska that's extremely valuable to all of our natural resource industries, and we're going to continue to work really strenuously to make sure that happens. So since we don't have any more questions and our time's pretty much up, I want to thank everybody for listening in, for all the positive feedback we've been getting for our Facebook Lives. It sounds like people like them. We do record them. We do keep them up there for you to do. This is just the start. If you have questions, reach out to us. Rob and our emails are out there. Our staff, our team's emails are out there. We are a service agency. That's what we do. We try to help people get to where they want to go. So we can give a lot of advice. We don't give directive, we give advice, with the exception when we're being regulators, and there are certain statutes and regulations, both USDA and state, that we are responsible for. So, we're gonna, some days, most of the time we are the friendly government showing up. Some days we are the regulator, but we still try to do that in a real positive manner to help people come into compliance. That is always my goal. If we can help you come into compliance, that's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, every once in a while we have somebody that doesn't want to come into compliance. Yes, then I can become a real hard-nosed legal regulator. But the whole goal, protect industry, protect the environment, protect our state, make sure we have good, wholesome food. So with that, I'm Dave Shady. I'm the director. I really appreciate you signing in. Thanks, Rob, for coming over. We'll talk to you soon.